I'm Joe Krashenko. I'm the lead firearms instructor here at Florida Concealed Carry, or FCC. Listen, I grew up in New Jersey, born and raised. As we all know, Jersey is an anti-gun state. I had no interest in guns growing up. I didn't hunt, didn't come from a hunting family, didn't touch guns. I was just a little wee kid. I shot a pellet gun in my grandfather's backyard. We were shooting cans and I hit the cans. And that was about it. Never had any interest afterwards to do anything with firearms. As I was growing up, I wanted to get into law enforcement. I think I truly wanted to help people, and I also wanted a job that was different. You did something different every day, more of an adventure. Then when I went through the police academy, that was the first time I ever really touched a firearm, a handgun. It was a Glock 23, 40 cal, still one of my favorite guns. I had great instructors there. I was one of the instructors there that when it came to the firearms section, I was nervous. I never shot guns before. Everybody else had experience shooting. So when we were going through all the fundamentals, everything about firearms, I studied so much and paid attention to everything they said. I just memorized it. I can still see it in my head today what they were saying about what the firearms teaching the fundamentals. Then we finally went out to the range to actually shoot. I had a really tight group, which they were amazed. I mean, everything was in the size of my fist, and that was coming from the 25-yard line in. Problem is, everything was about yay far over to the left. Back then, the instructors were allowed to hit you a little bit, so they kept hitting me in the back of the head, telling me that's why I got the flat spot. That's why they kept telling me, you're off, you're doing great, but you're shooting everything to the left. I'm like, well, I'm aiming just the way you told me, just the way you told us in the class. I said, could the sights be off? I got the whole spiel. Sights can't be off, sights can't be off. It's you, it's you, it's you. Finally, the instructor picked up the gun, shot 3 rounds, said, yep, your sights are off. So they adjusted my sights, and ever since then, I've never missed. And from there, I practiced like you would not believe. I was at the range at least 2-3 times a week practicing. Then I went down, twice a week, once every other week, once a month. I just constantly practiced. I always tried to excel at everything. I was my worst critic. I went to my first competition. It was like a multi-law enforcement competition. I took second place, which I was shocked. I was happy. I was only a couple months on the job, and they said I would have took first place, but when we were at the 50-yard line, I refused to get into the prone position. I stayed standing. If I had gotten the prone position, I probably would have had a better, tighter group and a nicer score. I started training people from there. I had the ability to just look at somebody when they're shooting and to tell what they were doing wrong in an easy, simple fix, and the way to explain it to them and teach them how to do it so they understood to fix their problem really quick. A lot of times I could do it by just looking at their target. Bunch of years into my career, long story short, no great story. I got injured on the job and they forced me out in the retirement. I retired, moved down here with my family to the lovely state of Florida, and I set up camp here in Sarasota. I was retired, wasn't making great money, but I was retired, always had an income coming in. I always had to find something to do. I'm an active person. I always got to be moving, always got to be doing something. So I started up a couple different small businesses. I had a PI company for a long time, which led into a bodyguard company. I did a lot with close personal protection, PSD details, stuff like that, for a lot of good clients. And from that led into me doing some government contract work within the states. Basically, they hired me because of my firearms ability. So I travel around the country, mostly down south, doing different jobs for the government. At that point in time, I got picked up to do some jobs overseas. Long story short, I was a police advisor / trainer in Iraq, which that led into me being the firearms subject matter expert in Iraq and the tactical operations advisor. Actually had a lot of good times, met a lot of great people. I was training U.S. forces, coalition forces, and the Iraqi police, the Kurdish military, and the Kurdish border patrol, which I know it's all kind of the same thing, but they kind of really separate things there. Had a great time doing that. Learned a lot of things myself. I grew a lot as a person. It was great. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'll go back and do it again. It was a good time. But after 2 years of doing that, living in the country solid, I decided I have to come home, be with my family. I had a young son at the time, so I came back to the States, and that's when I started a firearms training place, Aegis Tactical. And that's all we did was firearms training. Short time after doing the firearms training, we noticed people were getting, how do I say, ripped off when they were buying guns. You know, you got the little old lady, somebody's grandmother coming in to buy their first gun at the local gun shop, and it's a Smith & Wesson 357 revolver that weighs a ton and has a 12 to 14 pound trigger pull. And when they actually went to go shoot the gun, they didn't even have enough strength to pull the trigger back. That's when we decided, you know what, we're going to expand into a gun shop and start doing retail. Long story short, we went from like 400 square feet to 4,000 square feet, and just being me doing it and one other person to, I think we had 9 or 10 employees at the height, in a very short period of time. It was all within a year and a half, 2 years. A lot of growing pains, learned a lot. Now I'm trying to go back to, I guess, my roots and go back just to the firearms training portion. To me, that's where the passion's at. That's where the most important thing is out there. You know, what separates us from the other instructors out there and the other training places out there is experience. I've taken all my experience, and it's legit experience from my background. You can see it. Stop in the shop. You'll see all the certificates for all of it. And the photos of what I've done. I've taken all that experience and compiled a lesson plan, which is just, in our opinion, far superior than everybody else's out there for what you're coming for. Again, the firearm safety rules, yeah, that's going to be the basic safety rules that everybody teaches and everybody gets when they go to get their certification. It's the same thing from the NRA. It's when you get to the fundamentals, the laws, and the proper usage of the firearm in defensive situations is where we shine. I keep saying we. There are multiple instructors here. They all work under my close supervision. They all have tremendous experience with firearms. None of us just come from another career and spend a couple $100 to go get a certification and become an instructor. Not trying to down any of them. You know, some of them may have just been plumbers their whole life, had no experience with firearms besides they liked them, and now they're trying to teach courses. You know, if I want to learn plumbing, I'm going to go to a plumber. If I want to learn car mechanics, I'm going to go to a mechanic. I want to learn firearms, I'm going to a place that just knows about firearms, and that's their expertise. And I'm a certified firearm subject matter expert. I am the only one in this area. So listen, if you have any questions, anything at all, you want to come meet us, we're right here at 5103 Lena Road, right here in Lakewood Ranch, Florida. We're pretty much here 6 days a week. Stop in, we'll answer your questions for you. You can sign up for a class right from our website. We do them several times throughout the week. So listen, do you want to be a survivor or do you want to be a statistic? The choice is yours.